Welcome to Morning Infusion with Dr. V, where we are intentional about connecting you with leaders that have overcome so that you know that the possibilities are endless. It's Dr. V here, where our coaching program teaches nurses to work from their computers anywhere around the world, making money and owning their own time. Our featured guest today is Ron Missick. Mr. Missick is a godly man, dad, grandfather, inspirational speaker, and coach. Ron Missick's longtime passion has always been to help men understand the biblical principles, being a godly father, and to teach them how to put these principles to work in their own lives. He uses his 5 pillars of godly living, which include vision, confidence, courage, determination, respect. He teaches how each principle can be incorporated in their daily lives, which will then pass from generation to generation. And I love that. I absolutely love that because you have to have a vision for your life, right? In order to get and the confidence and the courage and determination and the respect in order to get there.
Absolutely.
I love it. So now let's start off. So then you were born in the Caribbean. You described an incident when you were small that impacted your life. What was that?
Yes, doctor. I remember distinctly one time I was walking with my mom, and I was young enough that we were holding hands as I was walking, and I heard some woman screaming something at my mother, calling her something TI. It was some kind of an epithet, and so I looked up at my mommy and I said, "Mommy, what does TI mean?" And she said, "Oh, that means Turks Islander." You see, we were from Turks Island and we immigrated to the Bahamas, and as a result of that, there was that little bit of an animosity because evidently Turks Islanders were a little more energetic and industrious as far as being able to and work as far as. But hearing somebody say that to my mom, I think, that's even at that tender age, it just struck me as being wrong. Why would somebody who kind of looks like us be so hateful towards my mother? And so that has had an impact, and as a result, that has changed the way I see ourselves here as of late in my growth and in my experience.
It's interesting that when those things happen to your parents, as you were talking, I was thinking about something that happened to my mom. So my mom was huge. So she had to go to work after my father. My father was he was disabled. And so
Mhm.
as a result, she had to go to work, and she was working for this lady who was she had prominence in the community. And I remember her calling me. My mom had said, under no circumstances are you to give my phone number to anyone. And so this lady called and she said, "Can I have your mom's phone number?" And I said, "So I can't give her phone number out." And she kept asking, like she was very persistent, very persistent. I said, "I can't give her phone number out." And she said to me, she said, "Well, who is your mama that you can't give her phone number out?" And I'm thinking, lady, don't try me. That's my mama. It's not gonna be pretty for you, I promise you. Okay, I don't care who you are. But it is interesting how we see our parents and those incidents that happen, that other people don't value them, but we value them so much that we know what their value is, you know?
Yeah. And doctor, just following up on that, the way my mother handled that, she handled it with dignity. She did not yell back at that person. And that taught me how to react when somebody does and says something to you. Don't let them drive your bus. You drive your bus where you want to go. You behave the way that you want to behave, and let them be the misbehaving or be the disrespectful one.
And and that reminds me too of Proverbs: a soft answer turns away wrath. And it reminds me of a John Maxwell quote that says, "Life is 10% of what's done to you and 90% of how you react to it." And the reason why is because you will react. How you react is how is what you will carry around, right? That's what will happen. But you can't, I mean, you can, but it's not going to be good, right? In the way you react. And I was younger then, and I'm much older now. Because let me tell you something. Way back then, she'd have got it. But I back up. So now, did you come to America as a small child or as an adult, and what prompted the move?
Actually, neither. I was a teenager when I came to the U.S. and actually for schooling, and we landed in, of all places, Brooklyn, New York, and went to a very nice school there, Bishop Lachlan. Shout out for them, and it was quite an experience coming from a totally different country into a totally new culture. It was really just everything that went with it. It was having a partial accent, which I purposely tried to get rid of as quickly as possible. And I'll tell you the reasons for that a little bit later on. But it was as a teenager, seeing all the wonderful things that the city has to offer at that time. It was a really exciting time of life.
So now, tell me some of the differences between where you were and where you came to.
Oh, well, okay. So in the Bahamas, we have, or in the Caribbean, came from like I said, from Turks to the Bahamas and from Bahamas to US. And of course, resource is limited in the Bahamas. Everything that is needed pretty much has to be brought in. And when you land here in the United States, the resource is vast.
And when you mean resource, you mean food
I'm
or
talking about everything. I'm talking about the availability of food, of water, of of material, of opportunity. It is vast compared to what it was at that time in the Bahamas or in the Caribbean, and that's why so many people worked either as migrant workers or seasonal workers coming in to do certain work, sugarcane, uh, um, farming and what have you. But to be here in the United States and to see the opportunities that are here is just mind blowing.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Now, you focus on teaching men to see themselves how God sees them. So why do you think this is so important?
Oh, it's vitally important. We we live under a misperception of who we are. And the Bible states that we are identified in one of three ways, either by nation, by tribe, or by tongue. And we have a um, an artificial construct, which we call race, in the way we see it today,
Hmm.
uh, which is altogether artificial. So, first of all, when we talk about race, it's done for a very specific reason. It's not done to unite people, it is done to separate people. And so, being a human construct, race being a human construct, it's just like the difference between chocolate and white chocolate. There's no such thing as white chocolate. You can call it something else, but it's not chocolate. So humanity is humanity, period. There is no difference. The superficial skin tone color that we make such a huge effect, and we've put so much identity in it, and we miss the one person to whom we are accountable. We are created in the image of God, and if you truly believe that, then how do you comport yourself? How do you see yourself as an image bearer? That gives me really something to think about and gives me identity in that one statement.
Now, how? So how important do you think that that is as it relates to the generations? Because, it's the father figure, okay?
Mm,
When the father figure is absent or when the father figure is present, and depending on how that goes, it's really it's I mean, it's huge. So go ahead, you elaborate because you
okay. What is we we need something to identify with. We need a template with which to operate in. And a parent gives that, a father can give that to a son, especially a son, because we are more copiers of what we see men are early on. We need that structure. We need that encouragement. And you see that where if where creation comes in, which is fantastic. Creation gives us an identity, a responsibility, an accountability, and a destiny. And so when you work from that construct, you all automatically say, well, okay, uh, what is my responsibility as a parent, as a father? Am I being that example for my son, for my daughter? Am I doing that for my children and my grandchildren to be? What what am I giving them? Am I giving them what the culture has told me about myself, or what am I giving them of myself from what God is telling me about me? And I prefer to believe what He is saying versus what the culture, because what the culture is saying is that you are only worth so much, whereas others are worth more. You are only worth let me get it like this. But the idea here is God is saying that we are created in His image, the ruler of the universe, the creator of the universe. So if you are a child of God, well, I'm I'm a I'm royalty. Yes, you are. Wow. So how do I behave as royal? Do I slouch? Do I become disgruntled? Do I become a provocateur? How do I behave if I truly believe that? And I do. So the way I treat others is the way I am supposed to treat others, not the way they should be treated. You see the difference?
mhm, mhm.
And so what you may say to me is your misbehavior, is your disrespect for yourself. I believe firmly that the only way I can disrespect myself is if I act towards you in a way that's inconsistent with what God has told me to do and told me how to behave toward my fellow man. And so when somebody gets in my face and says something of a racial connotation or of any other kind of against my person, well, they're the ones that are disrespecting themselves. I'm not being disrespected because I'm not going to react to what they're doing. I'm just going to let them go.
It's interesting. One of the things that I like the beginning of what you said is that representation, right? And so it's this guy who was a real estate investor. He was on a podcast, and I forget his name, but he was talking about the fact that he did not want to have children because he didn't have that representation. Like his father was not present in his life. And so he didn't want to have children because he didn't know really how to act towards his children, right? And he was a little bit older, not terribly older. But then another thing as well, just being responsible for your actions and your
Mm,
actions and what you put out there is typically how you feel about yourself. Like you're showing the mirror on yourself. And so a lot of times you have to love yourself inside in order to be able to love others in that very same way. If you don't like yourself, then you're going to put it out there in that way. And so being very, very is interesting that, that's how it is. And I never really thought about that earlier in life. But
mm.
as I grow older, it is, I know that I have to love me. If I don't love me, I can't love you. I can't give you what I don't have.
This is very, very true, Doctor. We can only export what we have. And so we have that self-respect, that self-esteem. We can give that out. I so love that very point that you made. We we export what we create. The United States has infrastructure. Every country that does have export something, it's created there. And just as that country does, so do we on an individual on a community type basis. So I'm encouraged. One of the things I found that has helped me was a saying that my mother gave me, actually all of us, but I think it really has resonated in my life. She would say something like this: if you can't help, don't hinder. And
Mm.
as a child, what does that mean? But then you get to understand as you grow and as you hear that tape replaying, if you can't help, don't hinder. In other words, what I see that as in just in this one instance is, if I'm in a situation where I'm not being helpful, and it's time for me to get out of there and let somebody else help or do something. But I'm not going to stay there and create a burden or create a negative impact. Whereas that's hindering. That's not helping. And so I understand that we're always doing one of the two. We're always doing one of either we're helping or we're
We're
hindering.
hearing. Tabitha Brown, she's a vegan. I don't know if you've ever seen her, ever heard of her, but she's amazing. And so she cooks vegan food, right? It's like
Mhm.
she's blew up on social media. But anyway, she said at the end of all her TikToks, because she does a lot of TikToks, she says, "Do you have a good day now?" This is something to the effect, because I'm not probably not going to quote it exactly. She says, "You have a good day now." She said, "And if you can't, don't you go messing up anybody else's." Maybe Mr. Ron's computer has went out, maybe. Um, so it's interesting, as we're talking about that, and we have to be very clear on um, on that very thing. And until he gets everything back up, I just want to make sure that um, we are understanding the value of today's talk, because men have a huge impact on the lives of their families. And, him being a motivational speaker and really, really pouring back into the lives of men is huge. And so I'm just so very thankful that, he has come on and that he has talked to us about um, being impactful in the lives of men. And so I just want to just encourage you to continue to go throughout your day, especially as a man. Men have it, men get a hard ride sometimes, and they are amazing. I have an amazing husband. He um, he loves me and he knows how to treat me. He knows how to treat me well. And so I'm very thankful for how he does treat me. So I just want to say that we will be starting another cohort of VP Nursing Business Academy in October. It is a 6-month comprehensive program that leads nurses and coaches working from their computers anywhere around the world, making money and owning their own time. If this interests you, we can jump on a call so that you're able to gain clarity on how to create multiple streams of income. You can sign up at V as in Victor, P as in Paul, nursing.com. I ask that you like and share this podcast. And just know that Morning Infusion with Dr. V is where we are intentional about connecting you with leaders that have overcome, such as Mr. Missick, so that you know that the possibilities are endless. You guys have a phenomenal rest of your day.